Hey, it's David Richter of the Profit First RIA podcast. Have Jason Lavender on today, and he dives into his journey of Profit First. He's been an entrepreneur for several decades, and he's even had what he calls some false starts with Profit First, where he started to implement it, then didn't really, and then 8 months ago, everything changed. And he goes into life before Profit First, what it felt like afterwards, where he is now versus where he was, businesses he's had to shut down in the past, and where he wish he would have had Profit First in place. He really dives into what I believe that can help you and give you hope. Thank you for listening to the podcast and enjoy the episode. Hey, everyone. It is David Richter of the Profit First RIA podcast. I have a special guest today, Jason Lavender, which I'm super excited to be on because he was telling me before of how he loves Profit First. And since he said a love-hate relationship. So we're definitely going to dive into that. But he also sends this out to the people he works with. He's been in real estate since 2016-ish. So it's like he's got a lot of experience. Super excited to have you on. Jason, thanks for being on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I want to dive into this. Give people a brief overview who you are, then we're just going to hit the ground running with, your introduction to Profit First, why you send it to people, and all that stuff.
So yeah, Jason Lavender. I'm in the Wichita, Kansas market, small market here in the Midwest. So started out as a house flipper, as you said, at 2016 and dove full force into 2017. And I caught the bug. Real estate bug was my new addiction. From there, continue to flip houses, building a team, learning the process, getting coaching and good training, started wholesaling and then acquiring rentals. So kind of the trends, the evolution of an investor. And, but the whole time I had broken processes and systems, and the finances were always a big part of that. So, fast forward to now, we're flipping and wholesaling. We've got some mentoring coaching. And as you said, you alluded to, I have a love-hate relationship with this, but this is, I told you, one of the books I give out the most. And so I'm so thankful to the principles and stuff in here, and excited to talk about it.
Well, okay. So let's dive into that. You said the finances are a big part of it. Like, were you in your real estate company and were you seeing a lot of what I talk about in there, the up and down cash flow roller coaster?
Big time. I mean, I was a victim of my own decisions. Did the bank balance accounting method. That was my go-to. I'd log in. If I had some money in the bank, I'd go buy something, go buy an investment property, go, say, hey, we can throw a little bit more icing on the cake on that remodel because, hey, guess what? We had a good month. It was terrible. It's flawed from the beginning, and we just fumbled forward. And so, putting some good boundaries and parameters honestly saved my business, without a doubt.
Okay. So let's talk about that. Like, what got you interested in Profit First at the beginning?
So I had read Michael's book,
Okay.
the Mike Michalowicz's book, and it was an eye opener. And so I had a few false starts. I mean, I got to be honest. I had a few false starts on implementing Profit First.
Yeah.
So early on, it was shortly after it came out. Somebody had recommended it to me, and as I'm a education junkie. I'm always wanting to learn something, and that was a huge hole in my business and my life and my personal life. And I'd gotten into trouble with finances. So I'd read that book and had a false start on implementing it. It's so funny. I opened all the accounts and everything, and had the best intentions and just never implemented it. So that was false start number one. Then when your book came out, I had false start number two. But I knew the concepts were idiot proof. I mean, they were exactly what I needed. They were, exactly what my business needed, what I needed personally, because I'm typical ADD type of entrepreneur, and I'm my own worst enemy. And so I had to put in to practice and stick to it. And actually, I've got a funny story because I'm not actually the one that implements this. I've delegated because I would sabotage it time and time again. As I said, some of my false starts, I would sabotage this process if left to my own devices. So I had to delegate it to my assistant, and it's worked perfect since then.
Okay. How long ago did you delegate it to your assistant?
So we're about 8 months in on this now. So,
okay.
And this is after reading your book twice.
Yeah.
it took, I'm kind of thick-headed, but yeah, we're 8 months in and seeing the, seeing the
Yeah.
process work.
So I want to dive in then a little bit there, if you'll let me, because I feel like a lot of people will resonate with that. The false starts, the I'm ADD, like I'm going down this road. It's like I don't know if I could do this. So talk about that because you've been in business since 2000, 16, 17. If you read Mike's book, did you have the concept even back then when you first started real estate investing or know of it then?
Um, so, I mean, I'd been in business. I've been an entrepreneur for a long time, or my whole life. I mean, the last real
Yeah.
job I had was in high school that I worked for somebody else. So, I mean, I knew the concepts, but no, I didn't. It's like anything. And I explain this to people, business in general. You've
Yeah.
got to be able to put the pieces of the puzzle together. And I knew that there were pieces on the table. I just didn't know how to put it all together. And so, we bandage things together as an entrepreneur, and we just move forward. And
Yeah.
it's like the walking wounded. I mean, it was a
Yeah.
dumpster fire if I'm being honest. But then
What was a dumpster fire? Was it the real estate or what you were doing before real estate?
uh, both.
Both.
If I'm being hon-
Okay.
you know,
I appreciate
uh,
your honesty.
Yeah, no, and again, being a serial entrepreneur, and I had done several different businesses, and I've always been taken care of. We've always had food on our table, and just been fortunate to cut my own path. But as far as like building a legacy and doing things the right way, and you know, uh, actually owning a business, I mean, I didn't own a business; the business owned me.
Yeah.
And, that paycheck to paycheck mentality and real estate can give you that. I mean, real estate can give you those big hits. And so you think you got the Midas touch. Well, guess what? You don't. If you're not doing, if you're not planning and prodding ahead and implementing a system, I mean, the system works for you. I mean,
Yeah.
it's your safeguard. It's your bumpers on the bowling alley. I mean, this is your safety net to protect you, in my case, from my own stupidity and lack of foresight. And again, this is why I delegated it out because I'm
Yeah.
still, I'm still sometimes my own worst enemy.
Well, let me ask you, do you mind me asking, what did you do before real estate as an entrepreneur? Like what businesses were you involved in?
Yeah, so I had a painting and remodeling company for the majority of
Okay.
my life. We also owned a bookstore, so a used bookstore.
Oh,
It's not,
cool.
not It's a fun gig,
Yeah.
but it's not much money in used books.
Yeah.
We did some e-commerce and some Amazon, some FBA stuff. I mean, as far back when I was a kid, I mean, I was always cutting grass and door to door selling something. I mean, it's just, I've always kind of carved my own path. But
Yeah.
yeah, primarily a painting and remodeling company, which was my segue into real estate investing.
That's what I was going to ask. What made you make that segue from painting and remodeling into real estate?
I was 42 years old. It's probably my midlife crisis, but I saw that, there's no 60 and 70-year-old painters on a ladder.
Mm, right.
My story is I had to get off the ladder. I was on my job sites every day. I had a great crew. We had a good company. We had great clients. I did, you know, I had, I had a good thing going, but, every day I was still up on a ladder and running my job
Mm,
sites. I had to get off the ladder, man. I mean, that's as honest as I can get. I just saw the
yeah.
writing on the wall. I had to get off the ladder.
So then you went into real estate, into your own company. Like, did you shut down the painting and remodeling or did you keep that as an arm of your real estate?
So yeah, I kept them both afloat. I mean, because
Okay.
when you're first starting, I wasn't making anything. So
Right.
for 2 years, I was flipping houses nights and weekends. Trying to figure it out. I'd have, I was working my job sites. I'd have my guys come over if we were slow, but no, I ran them both consecutively through 2019, right up into 2020. I burned the ships and let it all go, and then COVID hit, and so that was
Wow.
like interesting.
Yeah.
It worked out. Nobody saw the unprecedented COVID real estate rise in the market,
Right.
but yeah, that was my story. I did 'em consecutively for a couple of years before I literally my burn the ships moment was I sold all my equipment. I put it all in. I drug it all out of the shop, took a picture of it, put it on marketplace, and the first guy that came and gave me $2,500 took it all, and that was it.
Oh, wow. So how long had you been doing that, the painting and remodeling company?
25 years.
Wow. So
Yep.
25 years. So you were young then when you first started and,
Yeah, right.
doing,
Yeah.
getting that
I
off the
was
ground.
it was yeah, I was 19 years old,
Yeah.
again, just it was something easy. I didn't know I was setting myself up for a 25-year career in painting, but
Yeah.
it's if you know anything about construction, you know that sometimes the painters aren't the sharpest tools in the shed. It's kind of the low totem pole on the construction uh, vine, and that was anyway. I jumped in. I landed a few jobs and a few people, and they just kept me busy. And I accidentally started a painting company that I kept going for 25 years.
Yeah. Well, then looking back now, if you would have had Profit First introduced to you back in the painting company, do you think you'd still have that painting company, or do you think you would have sold it for more than 2,500?
Uh, yeah, absolutely, 100%. Because I would have had a systemized, accounts receivable and the whole thing. I mean, I was the painting company. I was the arm,
Yeah.
the face, and everything of it.
Oh
So
wow.
when I shut down, all I had was the equipment to sell. But
Yeah.
yeah, honestly, yeah, if I'd implemented these principles, I wouldn't have been, I would have been able to sell a profit because I had great clientele. But the moment I said, I'm not going to show up and, I'm getting off a ladder, I'm not going to show up, that was the end of my painting company. And I had, you know,
Yeah.
painting equipment isn't that expensive. So I essentially had that. Yeah, hindsight 2020. I wish I could still be running that. I've since then, I love multiple revenue streams. Hindsight being 2020, I wished I had kept that. I could have kept that because now we're flipping a lot of houses. I hire a lot of painters.
Right.
It would have been great to have my
Have an
own.
arm. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay. All right, I have to pause the episode real quick. If you're a real estate investor who's tired of wondering where your money is going or why you're closing deals but still feeling broke, you need to talk to Simple CFO. Simple CFO is Profit First certified and fully endorsed by Mike McAlowitz, the creator of Profit First himself. Our team specializes in helping real estate investors finally get control of their cash flow so you keep more money, you pay yourself consistently, and build a business that doesn't run on chaos. We'll help you implement the Profit First system the right way, set up the financial processes you've been missing, and give you a dedicated fractional CFO who actually understands investing and keeping track of your numbers on flips, wholesales, rentals, private lending, all of it. So if you want predictable profit instead of living deal to deal, head over to simplecfo.com and book your financial clarity call today. That's simplecfo.com. Stop living in confusion and start keeping the money you work so hard to earn. Now, back to the episode.
yeah,
That leads me to the next question. What was the watershed moment 8 months ago that made you start Profit First? Finally, after knowing about it for so long, reading originally Mike's book and then my book twice, what was that? Why did you say it's time?
yeah. Well, again, this is my third start, so I always knew it was time. It was, it was a matter of whether this was going to stick and I was going to take it serious.
Yeah.
So, what it was is, yeah, just looking at my balance sheet and my, financials, and know that I was acquiring property. We were, flipping tons of houses. We had a healthy years. I'm, doing really well. But much like I've heard you say and others, like if you look back on your year and you're like, well, where did I made a lot of money? Where did it go? That was like, I would say that every year. Well,
Yeah.
since 2020, I mean, we had a great year. Where did it go? So I knew that I couldn't, do it again the third time the way that I had tried before. And so we implemented it. My assistant is actually my daughter, and she is she's so great. She runs the whole thing. Like I see some of our accounts, but I don't even have access to the other accounts, and I'm okay with that. I'm
Yeah.
totally okay.
Yeah.
She tells me what's going where. We link everything to our tax account. I just don't see it. Now I could ask for it, and she would tell me, and I have periodically just to make sure we're still good, and she'll send me a screenshot. But that's what works for me, man. Because I can tell you, if anybody listening is your own worst enemy, and you're gonna sabotage it, and I mean, it's the same reason I can't keep freaking Oreos in the kitchen, dude. Like if I had Oreos in the kitchen, I'd be in them. And so
Yeah.
I just know, if we got Oreos, somebody's gonna put them away. And it's the same thing with the finances. It works for me. I mean, it may sound like, ridiculous to some people, but I can tell you it's what's works for me because, and I literally just had her read it and explained everything. And I was like, "You understand?" She's like, "Okay, yeah, it makes simple. What's the big deal?" I was like, "Exactly, what's the big deal?" And she takes it and runs with it.
Yeah.
Our business has never been healthier, and I attribute much of it to just playing smart and doing the blocking and tackling of the business and the simple stuff.
So then, but because we'll go back, I like what you said there. Healthier than you. I wanna definitely talk about that. But before we go there, just at least one or two more questions about life beforehand. So
Mhm.
before that, when there were false starts and stuff, have you ever thought during that time that you wanted to throw in the towel in real estate investing? Because it sounds like the last few years before this, it was like up and down, still like, why, like where did all that money go?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd ever want to throw in the towel, but I mean, I definitely had many phases in my investing career where I was like, this is terrible. I mean, I
Yeah.
may not want to throw in the towel, but I might be done for.
Yeah.
So again, just not doing things wisely. I'm doggedly determined. I would still be fumbling forward in a very patchwork type of system. Um, so throwing the towel, no. But paycheck to paycheck. Oh, we're good. When we close this house, then we'll pay the bills on that one. And if we this sell, if that wholesale deal comes in, then we're gonna double down on some marketing and whatever. I would have still
Yeah.
been in that boat, which is it's a lot of anxiety, man. I tell you, those are some of the thoughts and feelings I had previously. It's just unnecessary anxiety, and it's not needed. I'm gonna turn 50 this year, man. I'm gonna get too old for this stuff. I just needed the stupid, easy, what is it? Kiss, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we do now.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you opening up about that because I feel like that's where a lot of people live, in that state of anxiety. And like you said, you don't have to live there. That's not where you have to live. And for you, it sounds like a big solution was bringing someone into your life that would help you take it to the next level, even if it was
Mm,
just implementing it and hiding stuff from you. Which
yep,
is great. I love that because Mike references that a lot in his book, and I mentioned it in my book as well too, where you might have bank accounts or something at a different bank, and it is that added level of discipline. It sounds like you've built your own system for that in your business.
100%. I mean, some safeguards again for the entrepreneur that's listening, and if you resonate with "I'm my own worst enemy," I'm the kid in the cookie jar. Then yeah, if you've got false starts on this system, then delegate it to somebody else. I mean, as an investor, I mean, much of what I've learned is find the right person, put the right person in the seat. I just need to understand what the heck it is, and then I can, delegate it and oversee it. And that's exactly what we did. Somebody else is, I don't have access to the cookie jar. Let's put it
Right.
that way.
That's great. And it sounds like you feel like you're in a healthier place than you've ever been in your business.
100%. Oh, without a doubt, unequivocally, because those safeguards are there.
Yeah.
And they're necessary for me, and I understand that's not for everybody. I know plenty of investors that are own the whole process, and they're the ones setting it, and they're the driving force of the whole thing. um I do what I'm good at. I'm allergic to spreadsheets. I hate numbers, math. I suck at math. uh all of that. I doubled down on my strengths, and this is necessary but was never a strength, and I had
Yeah.
to like own that. Like and I'm okay with that. Uh,
Yeah.
I'll go do things that I'm good at, and I'll make sure that people are doing the things well that I'm not good at.
Well, now I commend you for that because I feel like honestly, you're in the majority of people that feel like that. I love what you said, allergic to spreadsheets as the entrepreneur. That was great. And I feel you're like in the majority there, but I also feel like you're in the minority of the courage to say, I'm not good at this and I need someone else to help me with this? Or shouldn't I know the numbers? Because a lot of people feel ashamed. Like, oh, shouldn't I know this stuff? Shouldn't I have more money? I'm a business owner.
Mhm.
Shouldn't I should take the reins here? And it sounds like you had the courage to step out and say, I need help. Like, here, read this book and please, for the love of God, hide this money from me.
Mhm.
It's like I need that here. So I wanted to commend you for that because I feel like you took a step that a lot of people don't. You even had false starts. You were like, I'm
Mhm.
going to do this. I'm going to do this. We're going to get it done. And then it's like, okay, falling off the tracks. I've heard that so many times before, but you found what worked for you and what
Yeah.
sticks and what really keeps you I did want to say too, because when I brought up the word healthy, you brought up safeguards as what healthy means to you, meaning that you've got someone there and they're helping you and keeping those safeguards around your money. Is there any other word or anything else when you think of that your business is healthy? Because you had
Mm.
mentioned, like before where you were living deal to deal, paycheck to paycheck, or like, not paying yourself as much or whatever. Is there anything else you associate with the business is healthier? Or is it just those safeguards? Because that's a big one too.
Well, yeah, the safeguard, protects the finances, but yeah, it's healthier because I'm healthier. It's healthier because I've got more clarity. I mean, I did an audit. I
Clarity.
did an audit in my business
Yeah.
last year that led to a lot of this, and I hired a coach, and she helped me find, and the word for me was clarity.
Yeah.
I found so much clarity because the finances are just, they're they're one of the barometers that you can test things by, but it's not the only barometer. I mean, I think we make a huge mistake as entrepreneurs if that's our only litmus test, if that's our only measuring stick. I mean, my gosh, I'm buying back time.
Right.
I got grandkids on the way, man. I'm like
Oh,
I'm so I'm so over the finances being the only measuring stick, and they were for a long time because I was failing at it. So I felt the pain every time because I was failing at it.
yeah.
But yeah, now healthy rhythm is, I live on my terms. I mean, my wife and I have started traveling a ton, finding good systems and processes, not just with our finances, but with our teams and our projects and,
Yeah.
everything. It just, it's like an evolution of an investor. Like you start out, or me anyway, I start out with a bullheaded idea and figured I could, work it out and, kept failing forward, fail forward, fail forward. And, after a while, you just get so many bruises. You're like, all right, there's got to be a smarter way to do this. And I had enough foresight to know that, like your book was the way to do it. Even if I couldn't be the captain of the ship,
Yeah.
that's okay. I'll sit on the deck. Somebody else can captain the ship. I'm just along for the ride.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to the finances, and it's like you needed to do what you were good at, which you're allergic to spreadsheets, but you're not allergic to deals and making the money and bringing it in. So it's like that's
Mhm.
where you shine and putting the pieces together. Okay. So I asked for the watershed moment 8 months ago, and you said two things there that didn't come up before. You said you did an audit of the business and you hired a coach. So like I want to dive into that a little bit. Was it the coach that made you do an audit? Or was it vice versa? Like I'm doing an audit and I think I really need some help from someone, like a coach out there to help me.
It's like she made me do an audit.
Okay,
So I
good. There you go.
So, yeah, I sat down, about a year ago. It was the beginning of the year, 2023, and I sat down with Anita, and she, I mean, laid it all out. And so and that's fine. I've worked with her before, so she called me to the mat on everything, and and it really, you said it right, a watershed moment. It allowed me to open everything up completely before and just be super vulnerable. I mean, and I already knew it. I mean, I already knew I had flaws. I mean, my whole
Yeah.
business is just, it's full of flaws, and that's okay. I mean, I used to have this, mindset. I was keeping up with the Joneses, or you can get investing circles, and you're like, you think your doo doo don't stink. Well, everybody,
Right.
and so I knew that, warts and all, we had I was enjoying what I was doing, and we were having a modicum of success. But yeah, she really opened everything up. We audited everything. We audited our process and everything. We had a lot of changes, and one of the biggest ones was the financial piece, um, and team members, and streamlining some things, and getting some clarity for me.
Yeah.
That was important because I was kind of on this track of following what I felt like I was living somebody else's dream or trying to
Right.
live through somebody else, like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. I guess I'm supposed to, grow a wholesaling company to a buku amount of money. And I was like, I hate wholesaling. Wholesaling, sales, and marketing. We do it because it makes good money, but I was tripling my marketing spend, and it's like, hey, this is terrible. I don't want to sit on these calls and train these people. And
Right.
so yeah, just clarity. And then
Yeah.
that auditing process was really a part of it. But it was Anita Greenwood. She's like a firecracker of a British lady, and she's 5 foot tall, you know, pack of dynamite, and she,
Yeah.
kicked my business into shape.
Well, then, did you ever do an audit like that before in your past of the business finances?
I mean, much like my, false start implementation at
Yeah.
Profit First. So yeah, a quasi audit. I mean, it wasn't a serious deal. I didn't, you know, change isn't change until you change. So yeah, I had audits of, things and changes that I was going to make, but they didn't get implemented. So I wouldn't call
Yeah.
them an audit because nothing happened. It
Would
wasn't
you
until
also
we,
say that was it's because like what you said, people think that their, your stuff doesn't stink or whatever. Did you think that I don't want to do this because it would be painful to dive
oh,
into that?
oh yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, 100%. I mean, we're, I think I'm wired as aversion to painful processes is probably just about as anybody.
Yeah.
I'm growing in that, understanding that the painful process is where growth happens most. But if I'm being honest, yeah, I mean, I still hate it and avoid
Yeah.
it oftentimes.
Yeah. Well, then I love that. You hired a coach. She made you a cover, like what really needed to go on, and this is what this is what set you on. It sounds like the profit first path that has stuck because you were like, not only do we need to change and make things so we don't feel like we're, making money feeling broke here, we also need to make sure it's recurring. And how do I do that? Oh,
Mhm,
you can help me set this up. Great. Get that
mhm,
set up and then just it'll allow me access to these accounts. Well, I love your journey. I think
mm,
your journey is very typical, but people don't understand that. They don't
mhm,
understand that there's lots of Jasons out there, like just like them, where if they would just look at it or have someone guide them, they could be in a much better place. Because I love what you said. You said you feel better. It's like you're able to take the trips, you're able to do the things. You have someone that's there safeguarding you as well, too, making sure you're on the right path so you can see, if something's coming down the pipeline and it's not that great. So this has
mm,
been awesome. I
thank you.
think this is the perfect episode of what I'm looking for because you give people hope. You
Mm,
know why this is perfect? You give people hope that
yeah.
no matter where you've been an entrepreneur for years and years, and it's like you took the dive. You took the
Mhm,
dive into this. So I want to say
yeah.
thank you. Thank you for sharing and being open because some of this stuff, I'm sure, it's not always fun to open up the cookie jar to,
Yeah.
and be like, oh shoot, there's just crumbs in there, and going into the past. So I really appreciate that. And, to land the plane here, is there anything you would suggest to people looking to implement profit first or any last minute advice here as we wrap up?
Yeah. So, one thing that my coach would tell me is like, ask yourself hard questions and give yourself honest answers. And so that's a good sober self-assessment. If you are the person that can, buckle down and implement the safeguards and the practices that your business needs, that's great. If you're not, find somebody that can.
Yeah.
Find somebody who can. I mean, I always say real estate's a team sport. I think there's something to be said for solopreneurs. That's great. We're sometimes we carve our own path and the whole, if I want it done right, I'm going to do it myself. I mean, that's fine. I am of the opinion real estate's a team sport. So find somebody that can help you do it. I mean,
Yeah.
just to be quite honest. And that's what worked for me. So that would be my recommendation.
Awesome. Well, I love that. So, just to recap, if you've been listening to this, he talked about, like the decades of being an entrepreneur and then, even knowing that this was out there, but then those false starts, but then getting someone in his business really helped. First of all, it sounds like to help just shine the light. It's
Mhm,
like we're all scared of the
mhm,
dark as kids, right? It's like just she helped you shine the light on, look at your numbers, like look
mhm,
at what's going on. Then from there, you took the extra step. You said this we're going to make sure it sticks now. and we got someone in place. And then it was like, okay, going from living deal to deal to I feel healthy, which means to you, safeguards in place, but also you feel healthier as a business owner, taking the trips, doing the things you want to do. So I think this was great. Yeah, I just sit back and like, this is why Mike wrote the book. This is why I wrote the Profits for Real Estate Investing, because we want to give people, this hope, and we want to give people like a better chance for their business, not to just be something where they're making money, but where did it all go?
Yeah.
So I want to thank you again. I also want to say, if you're listening to this episode and you're like, what the heck? I need an Anita Greenwood in my life, or I need someone like that, to whip me into shape because I want to do the hard thing and I want to go and like actually have a light, shown on where I need to go. We do that at simplecfo.com. We can install someone like that in your business. It's really a financial coach that shines this light on you. So if you need that help, you want to get to where Jason is now, we can help be your Anita, and we can help be the, his daughter who's helping him with the actual day-to-day of it as well too. So if we can help you, simplecfo.com. And then Jason, I don't know if there's a place you want people to connect with you, or if you've got a website, or however you want people to follow you, or whatever it is that you're looking for.
I'm an old guy, so I'm on Facebook.
There you go.
Yeah, Jason Lavender on Facebook, Wichita, Kansas. Look for the blue check mark. There's a couple out there, but yeah, man, I want to thank you for having me on. I want to thank you for writing this book. I want to thank you for, fulfilling the mission that you've been given and seeing it through, because it's pretty profound. I mean, it's changed me and how I view business, and it's set me up. Anyway, I just want to thank you. So, keep doing fighting the good fight and do the work. And
Yeah.
I appreciate you having me on.
Well, I appreciate that. You also have a Facebook group, don't you? That's growing, and like a community. Like, how do people get access to that? Or if they're like, I need Jason to whip me into shape or help me, get to where I want to be.
You can go to our website, elevatementoring.coach, and there's all their information there. So elevatementoring.coach.
Cool. Well, then I want to give people a chance to get more Jason in their life, because I like honestly too, when people come on and are very honest and vulnerable like that, and then also have the systems in place, not just to make the money, but keep it. I like sending people that direction, because it shows you want to be a better business owner than most people out there. So I just want to say thank you for that. So that was elevatementoring.coach. .coach, which is very cool. I like that. The .coach. So you can find him on Facebook. You could go there for the mentoring and the coaching, and then just follow Jason on the socials with Facebook. Then from here, all of them. Just go out there and find him. Thank you so much for being on here and for sharing your story. And thank you for listening. I hope this was encouraging to you as a listener. Remember to make profit a habit in your business. That's it for today's show. Be sure to subscribe, review, and share this episode. If you're serious about financial systems and keeping more of your profit, visit simplecfo.com to take your free discovery call today.